It's 4 o'clock on a Monday, and you know what that means. It's time for another exciting episode of Taxi TV Live. Yeah, fake audience, fake band, and everything. And welcome to the new week. And hello, you guys. Let me get the chat room open here so I can see you guys. So, we're not going to do the show today that I was planning on doing, and we couldn't tell you that because our email provider, I think, had a denial of service attack. We're just guessing that, but they were just frozen up. So you're going to get the email about today's show probably in the middle of the night, and this show is going to be so good. Not this show. I mean, the show I was going to do was going to be about Dean Crapane's new book, Demystifying the Queue. There we go, Dean Crapane. Dean's a very long-time Taxi member. There's his handsome face right there. And he's been quite successful. And I just found out like a week or so ago that he wrote this book, and I read a lot of it over the weekend and said, hell, I'm going to do a show all about this book on Monday. But unfortunately, our email list, as some of you I see commented, didn't get the heads up. I didn't even get the heads up about today's show, so I don't want to do the show for a very small audience. So I'm going to delay that topic or postpone that topic until next week. I was waiting until like 3:45 today to make that call. Didn't get the email, and I can see that our email provider still has spinning wheels, and it didn't go out. So instead, we're going to do a short show today, and I want to get some feedback from you guys about the road rally. Amanda got the heads up? Wow. Okay, so some of them made it out. Did you get it on email, Amanda, or did you get it on Facebook or Twitter? Because I know that we did send it out on Facebook and Twitter. Jim Carvalho, you haven't missed anything yet. Wow, okay. So some people got it, some people didn't. Oh, man. Well, I know that a lot of people didn't get it because I didn't get it, nobody in the staff got it, and we're seeing zeros on all of our stats on our email thing. Anyway, so I hope you don't mind, but we're going to postpone that because I think the show is going to be so good because Dean's book is so incredibly good. So if you want to buy the book and start reading it before we do the show next week, it is called Demystifying the Queue. Why can't I get this? There we go. Demystifying the Queue. And you can get it on Amazon, and I believe it's $19.95. You can get the Kindle version for a mere $9.99. So there you go. Personally, I've got an e-reader, but I like dog-earing pages and highlighting stuff and scribbling notes. And I know you can highlight on a Kindle, but what can I say? Somebody says the NSA, Fun Song says the NSA has the email. Hey, Kale, how you doing? I want to show you guys something. I think it was Friday. I got this really nice handwritten note from Kale, which I'm going to read to you because I got his permission to include it in the newsletter that's going out in a couple of days. It says, hello, Michael. Because of Taxi, I now have had my music played on ABC, Bravo, TNT, MTV, Animal Planet, TLC, and True TV. I'm currently writing for 9 libraries. Kale joked about reading his writing, and I said, yeah, you should see mine. Anyway, he's currently writing for 9 libraries and have almost 300 tracks in my BMI catalog. By this time next year, I hope to be making enough money to replace my day job, which I left to focus 100% on composing. Very brave of you, and I'm certain that's going to pay off for you. I can't thank you enough for what you and Taxi have done for me. Thank you, Cale Clements. So thank you, Cale. I don't get a lot of handwritten notes, and I really appreciated that. And, I know you a little bit. You're a good guy, and you're hardworking, and you're doing all the right stuff, and I'm really proud of you and glad that it's paying off. We give you the formula. There is a formula. The Road Rally, Taxi TV, reading the feedback. Go ahead, wad up the feedback form, throw it in a drawer. Don't throw it in the garbage. Read it a week later when you've calmed down, and you will find value in the feedback. The peer-to-peer section of the forum, you put all that stuff together, and what do you get? You get Cale Clements, and you get Matt Vanderboe, and you get so many of our other members who are becoming or who have become successful, and they're all doing the same things. Anyway, so if you will indulge me a little bit, I want to ask you guys, because I'm just at the point now where we're starting to get very serious about finalizing panels for the Road Rally. Some of these I've locked down. I think you guys saw that I did lock down Maureen Crow, who is literally, she is such a pioneer of music supervision that I think she's going to show up to the rally in a covered wagon wearing an Annie Oakley outfit. But I had dinner with Maureen, I don't know, maybe 9 months ago, 6 months ago. Kevin Houlihan and I went out to dinner with Maureen. She was the music supervisor on The Bodyguard. Okay, do I need to say anything more? But music supervision was different way back in the day, and she's one of the people that really turned it into a craft. And up until about a week or two ago, she was the founding, I believe, CEO or president of the Guild of Music Supervisors. Anyway, at the dinner that Kevin and I enjoyed with her, I just kept saying, crap, I wish I was recording this. Our members would love this. She talks really fast, and she's really perky, and she's really, really smart. And she just kept spewing one little gem after another, and I wished that I'd recorded it. And so she is going to be our keynote at the Road Rally. And I think that just listening to her for an hour is going to be worth the trip. I kid you not. Hey, Avram, how are you? Avram Topol says this will be his 5th Road Rally. Wow. And Scott Hampson says he tried the Annie Oakley costume once. I'm glad I wasn't there for that. I won't comment any further. So I want to ask you guys stuff that I'm pretty sure I'm going to do, but I haven't totally locked down yet, or etched in stone, I should say. We have a member named James Koshin. Many of you know him. He's one of the greatest guys you'll ever meet. He is Mr. Hard Work and Positivity guy. Extremely talented. He was one of the band members on stage with Shirelli and crew last year when they did From Demo to Done. He's a successful Taxi member, but he did a class last year, one of the breakout classes, something on the order of maximizing your membership. Sorry, had a paper ruffle there, and or a kerfuffle. Anyway, he did a thing, I believe it's called Maximizing Your Taxi Membership, and I had no input, no control, no nothing other than saying, sure, I'll give you a classroom, sounds like a great show, and I'll bet you'll be a great teacher. I had people stopping me in the hallway and in elevators all weekend long telling me how wonderful that was. So I'm thinking about putting him on the main stage. I mentioned to him after last year when I got all that feedback. He's a guy that can probably even give you more insight than I can on how to be a successful Taxi member, because he is one. And he's so organized and so hardworking and so articulate. More than anything, he's unbelievably inspirational. So I thought that that would be a really good first panel after we finish with Maureen Crow. That'd be a great way to kind of kick off the rally. And I hope that people don't think, yeah, I'm a veteran. I've been to a bunch of road rallies. I've been a member for years. There's nothing new I could learn from this guy. Just knowing James as well as I do, I learn from him every time I sit down with the guy. So I hope that people don't assume that they don't need what he's going to say. So do you like that idea, James Koshin, doing Maximizing Your Membership? That would be from 10:45 a.m. till noon on Friday. Getting some plus ones. All right, I like that. I've got you guys trained like SEALs. Give me a +1. Hey, Mary Band, I hope you feel better. All right, so we're getting +1s on that. That's good. Okay, so then we go into the mentor lunch, and I will let you guys know that for the mentor lunch and the one-to-one mentors this year, that we're really pushing hard to get more music library owners and more film and TV specific people. We added quite a few last year, and I still had some complaints from people. So many of our members are doing film and TV now that we're going to add as many film and TV related people as we can. I will tell you that I just got a confirmation on Friday from a music library owner who I adore. He's really, really smart, one of the straightest shooters you'll ever meet. Has gotten tons of really like good placements for our members. And he said, "Sure, man. Not only will I do the panel, but I'll do whatever you need me to do." And he's going to be there on Friday, November 8th, I think for most of the day. So we're going to have him doing the mentor lunch and at least doing one shift of one-to-one mentoring. And I'm sure we'll have other library owners as well. Um, oh, let's see. Scott Hansen's telling us what's for dinner tonight at his restaurant. Taxi TV menu. We're grilling up kosher hot dogs. Yay! Steamed corn on the cob, baked beans, mashed potatoes, and dill pickles served alongside a cold Dortmunder beer. Ooh, sounds good. Um, I wish I could be there. Um, okay, then from 2:45 to 3:45, we're going to do the labels and publishers A&R panel where we get. It's always a tough one. This one always breaks my heart. Um, we've got probably 20 or 30 different genres represented in the audience, and then I get, I mean, I can only put 5 or 6 people on a panel because after 5 or 6 it just gets silly. Um, Nobody gets a chance to talk, and we do a listening panel. And so it's always tough picking the genres, but we'll try and get some, like a rock A&R person and a pop A&R person or a pop publisher. I think this year we've got once again a Christian, somebody from the Christian market from Nashville. We'll have a country person there. And there you go. So I can't get, it's always tough. I remember like 3 years ago, we had a really good jazz guy. I forget what, maybe it's Blue Note, one of the better jazz labels. And the stuff that we kept pulling out of the box marked jazz was not jazz. And the guy got downright pissed off. It's like he had a French accent, if I remember correctly. He's like, "Why are you making me listen to this music that is not even close to jazz? Don't you people know the difference?" It's quite embarrassing, I gotta say. So I turned around and wagged my finger at the members who slipped music in the jazz box. That wasn't jazz. So that leads me to another thing that we're thinking about doing this year at the Road Rally, which is, for those of you who have been there before, you know that for the listening panels, we typically set up, I don't know, like 4, 5, 6 boxes, depending. Yeah, awesome French accent. Yes, definitely. Um, we set up the genre boxes according to the type of panelist that we have on the panel. Obviously it wouldn't make sense to set up a new age box if we don't have a new age panelist. So the new age people will be disappointed if we don't have a new age person. So we try and rotate every year and get, like one year we'll have a jazz person, next year we'll have a new age person. But we try and represent the major food groups that are going to appeal to the largest number of people. So we were talking in a road rally meeting about 2 weeks ago. This year, instead of having the drop boxes where you walk up to a table and there's a taxi staff person there and you say, "Here you go, here's my badge, I'm a member," and you hand them, I'm looking for a prop, you hand them a CD and it's got a sticker on it. We give you the stickers and it says, "This is rock," and we put it in the rock box. Well, in the past, we used to just have the members drop stuff in there, and of course, people being people, they would take their CD and put one in the rock box, one in the country box, one in the R&B box, and one in the jazz box, and one in the whatever box. And then we would just pull CDs out. We have a staff member who sits at 2 CD players playing DJ, and the staff member would pull one out, and it's got a label on it. It says rock, and they play it, and it's country. And we look like idiots in front of the panelists, and the members in the audience get really ticked off because it's a waste of everybody's time. So this year, what we're thinking about doing is picking four people randomly from the audience and having them be our like field music grabbers. And we're going to divide the ballroom up into four quadrants and have each one of those randomly picked people be out in a quadrant. And as one song starts to play, we're getting ready to play one song, I'll say, okay, music grabbers, you guys, left rear quadrant, you grab something. And he'll grab something from that quadrant and bring it up to the side of the stage. And we'll say, okay, this is from Bob Jones, and it's a jazz song. So we think that we will 100% eliminate people slipping as genres that things are not. The only thing we fear is people going absolutely what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say batshit. Just going crazy trying to get to the person who's collecting the CDs. I remember one year we put like a golden ticket under one of the seats for some great prize, and people were flipping chairs over. Any empty chair in the audience, people were literally standing up and grabbing chairs and flipping them, and mayhem broke out in the ballroom. So we don't want to have that again. Carvalho says, riot. So do you think I will be able to address the audience and say, everybody, please stay seated. Please, please don't even stand up and wave your arms. The person in your quadrant is going to look around and pick somebody and say, you, please come here and hand me your CD. What do you think? Will that work? Yeah, Amanda says, apart from too many pushy people. Well, if we tell them that they've got to remain seated, it'd be really cool if I had like a slingshot up on the stage and somebody stands up like whack-a-mole, shoot them, get them sit back down. We'll ping with a pea shooter or a slingshot in the forehead. Robbie Hancock says he liked the way we did it last year. It worked mostly well. It did. I actually had some complaints from the panelists on the last panel last year. Remember, we had like Shirelli and Michael Lloyd and a guy from a library and I think somebody from Discovery Channel. And they all got a hold of me afterwards and said, man, we've all been on panels before at the Road Rally where we did, randomly listen to music. And the stuff that got pulled to that last panel was not all that good. Yet the other panels, the music supervisor panel, great music got pulled, and it was by luck of the draw. The music library panel, incredibly good music got pulled, and library owners were practically arm wrestling each other to get their hands on the stuff. And we had people, that got deals as a result of it. Kale says, do you have the same problem with all the panels or just the labels? We can't do it by email before, I should go back to Kale's question. It's pretty much all the panels. I mean, like I said, the first couple of panels went really well. Luck of the draw worked out well. We didn't pull out a lot of stuff that wasn't the genre it said it was. But that last panel was just a bummer. And we hated to end the rally on kind of a down note. All the panelists were like a little ticked off. You could see them growing impatient, and they weren't very, we always like the last panel to be kind of fun and exciting. This is it, the home stretch, woohoo. And it didn't feel that way. It's kind of sad and depressing, actually. So we all kind of bummed out that the rally got ended on less than a buoyant note. And we thought it'd add a little bit of game show excitement to it to have total strangers picked at random being the four people out in the audience. But it's going to depend on, can people act like grown-ups? Will they please stay seated and just hold up their CD and that person will go, there you go, you. So Robbie Hancock said, why don't you do it all by email like when you ask for music for the show, for Taxi TV? The reason we don't do that is we found out many years ago, we pre-picked some music for a panel. Actually, it was live performances with full bands. I remember one of the acts was a guy named Gabriel Mann, who is now a big TV composer. I actually loved his music, and I got to mix his stuff live for his set. And you know what? We had like 15 people in the ballroom. nobody came because they didn't get picked. So obviously, we want a full ballroom so that everybody can learn from the feedback that the supervisors or the library owners or the label people are giving. Well, if people know that there's no chance of their music getting picked, they're not going to be in the ballroom. So that's why we like the random thing. We like a nice full ballroom so that we get, 1,100 people learning something instead of 15 people learning something. Um, Maybe just a pre-screen last panel. Nobody will show up. That's the problem. People know if their music is not going to get played, they won't be there. They'll be out in the bar drinking early that day. Um, why not give everyone who enters the presentation a raffle ticket and call out the numbers? Problem is, we do that with prizes, and we're trying to do that a different way this year. We give away some pretty awesome door prizes, and we get ticket stubs. You guys, when you get there, you check in, and we give you your official rally ticket. People tend to take their ticket stubs and put them in their little plastic sleeve that their rally badge goes in. And you'd be surprised how often I find myself standing on the stage going, ticket number 1, 2, 3, 4, ticket number 1, 2, 3, 4. Anywhere in the room? Are you here? Are you here? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Nope. Okay, ticket number 5, 6, 7, 8. Are you in the room? Ticket number 5, 6, 7, 8. There have been times I've stood up there for like 10 minutes calling out numbers. Where are the people whose numbers I'm calling? Out in the bar. Happens every year. Or up in my room changing clothes or brushing my teeth or whatever. Um, I'm trying to read the suggestions as I'm talking, and I can't do two things at once. My brain does not work that efficiently. But so that's why we're not going to do music in advance. Let's see. Don't announce. So Juliet said, "Slow down, you guys. Hold on a second." um, Screener dunk tank for the last panel. We've talked about that. I think we did it one year, many years ago, the first time we were ever at the hotel that we're currently at. But I think the hotel frowns on that. What if the person has to stand there to get the song played? Well, that's part of the whole thing is if we're picking stuff live from the audience, yeah, then that person, you know, yeah, they're going to hand their CD to the CD collector, so they will effectively be embarrassed by submitting the wrong kind of music. Um, Juliet said something, but don't announce which ones are picked. Pre-screen the last panel, but don't announce. Um, that's not a bad idea. I'm going to write that down. Um, so people submit online in advance, but we don't announce who got picked. Do you think the members will go along with this? People are going to say, well, I'm not going to fly out if I don't know that my song is going to get played. And I don't know, think about that for a second. Submit online and pre-screen for last panel. And it might not just be the last panel. It might be all panels that we do that way because we never know. I got to tell you, it scares the hell out of me every year when we start pulling stuff randomly out of the boxes. Scares the you-know-what out of me because of that experience we had with the snotty jazz guy years ago. For the most part, for the last 2 or 3, I think last 3 years, we've been really lucky on some of the panels where the music, I'm sitting there going, wow, who knew we had that many great members? We do have a CD that we keep on hand in case of emergency. If we get like 5 bad ones in a row, I mean, you can just feel the ballroom melt down. And there have been times where I've said to whoever from my staff is playing DJ, play us one that we picked, that the screeners picked, and we'll play one of those just because we want everybody to have a positive experience and see that there is some really incredible music coming from our members. But last year, those panels, not so much the A&R panel, but the supervisor panel and especially the library panel, it was just like one great thing after another. Hardly a clunker in there. Okay, Bronstein says, I like that idea. Get more people in the ballroom. No guarantees anyway. Which idea do you like? Right. Amanda says trouble with pre-screening, not telling. Some miserable people will think it's fixed. That's a great point, Amanda. That's, it's really important to us that people know that it is random. And so, yeah, they're going to think that we just, I mean, we will have, if we do it that way where we get stuff in advance and then pre screen it, um, they'll think we just picked our favorites. But that's the whole point of pre screening is picking the favorites. I don't know. It's a tough one. Um, Well, Juliet says it doesn't have to be online. Just have the deadline to turn in the CDs a little earlier for that panel. Have a staff member pick them at random. That's what we do. And we cut off the drop off like 10 or 15 minutes before the panel. And every year we actually have to have like an extra staff member or two walk with the person carrying the bins. Um, because people will run up literally on stage. We get people while the panel is going on running up and still dropping their stuff in the buckets. It's embarrassing. It's like, where were you? I was outside having a smoke. Well, geez, all we ask is a little modicum of responsibility. Get your stuff in the box, in the prescribed. It's not like we don't leave the box out there for like an hour. Um, Juliet's idea: if people have that conspiracy theory and don't believe what you say, I don't think this is for them. Yeah. Hand out raffle tickets at the entrance to the door and then not in advance, but then that becomes problematic because then we got to go through a bunch of printing the tickets. I guess we could buy those rolls of double tickets like they use for, carnivals or fairs or whatever. Um, but then it adds time. So that's the problem is when we start calling out a number, then everybody pulls out their ticket and you call the number a couple of times. Everybody's like, oh, where's that ticket? Where's that ticket? Sometimes what happens with the prize giveaways is that we call out a number and we call it 3 times and move on. And sure enough, that person will stand up 2 minutes later and say, I found the ticket. It was in my wallet. Well, and then they come up to us afterwards and say, can I still have a prize anyway because I had the winning number. It's tough to put on a road rally. Sometimes I wonder why the hell I do it. How about a mini panel before the main panel, like a forward? Like, I don't really understand that one, Jim. Have a roulette wheel with people's seats for different sections. Um, by the time we wait for the wheel to stop spinning, I think it's just going to be easier. Just, we'll just keep going around the quadrants and have somebody pick somebody. Um, a mini panel screening. You're talking about a live panel in the ballroom screening, or and then the forwards go to the big panel. Scott Hansen comes up with a great one, a wet t-shirt contest. There's one I won't be entering. And I'm pretty sure none of the ladies at the rally will either. But if you come, Scott, we're going to insist that you do that. Kale says, I think the best answer is to have us send them in advance, you screen them, and then randomly pick from the pre-screened ones at the rally. Okay, but what about people? Do we not let the people know? I'm liking that idea. So, Sophia, can you write that one down? Kale Clement's idea, the best answer is to have us send them in advance, you screen them, and then randomly pick at the rally. So we'd be picking from the pre-screened music. Another issue with that, I like that idea. I'm liking that idea. Another issue is somebody could submit and then not show up for the rally. You'd be surprised how many people say they're coming and then don't. But Sophia, please make note of that one. Yeah, there's no way to bribe the picker that I can think of. Although I've had a couple people try and bribe me over the years. Run a listing before the rally for all the music that'll be played. That'll save so much time. But if we let everybody know who's going to get played, nobody will be in the room except for the people who've been notified. So I think that the idea has some merit to it, but we would just have to not let anybody know what got picked and what didn't. Does that work for you guys? The day before rally sign in, there's too much pandemonium going on. I'm telling you, I'm in the 60-day, 12 to 16 hours, 7 days a week stretch right now. So anything that we have to add workload wise, especially for the staff, especially when we are on the premises, way too nutty. Feedback from panels valuable, whether or not the writer's there. That's true. What about having a list of names that are picked randomly when it's time? Um, if you do in advance and it can't be at the rally, it needs to be before. Yeah, I'd like the idea of doing the online submissions and like anything that is, a kind of a B plus or higher or a 7.5 or higher, anything that's in the 25th or would that be 75th percentile? You know what I'm saying? Stuff that's in the pretty good to incredibly good range. Um, that stuff gets picked. I mean, we can't have all amazing material because then the panelists would just sit there and go, okay, that's amazing. That's amazing too. Wow, that's amazing too. Um, yeah, I agree with you, Kale. If people don't show up, we can still learn from their track. Um, all right. Hey, Sophia, can you kind of do a highlight, select all and copy and paste these suggestions into a Word doc so we can run through them later. But so far, I mean, it's a little hard for me to see because things are scrolling by kind of fast. But um, I'm liking Kale's suggestion so far. So good on you, Kale. Kale sent me a nice note and had a good suggestion. Kale gets an A today. Jim Carvalho says a small group can screen them, then like a forward, the big shots can listen to the forwards, if you will. Only the pre-screening really has to take place like a week before the rally, though. Um, every seat number, pick it out of the box, is pretty much the same as having the guys out in the audience just picking it randomly. I mean, at least they'd be totally strangers. Um, but we were also looking for, we wanted to do something lively, almost make it like pandemonium. I mean, that was part of the game show idea of making it really exciting. Everybody in that room's got a chance of getting picked. But maybe it's a combination of, we do the library and supervisor and label panels that way, and then maybe the last panel is the one where we create a riot. Anyway, okay, I want to move on because we have a lot of other stuff, and I've already spent like half an hour on that topic. So a reminder for those of you who showed up late, and that is that our email provider today is down. They said they were doing maintenance, but it was taking longer than maintenance, and they would never do maintenance in the middle of the day. So I'm guessing they got hit with a denial of service attack, which email providers do get hit with. We were going to talk about, why can't I do that? Dean Crapane's incredibly good book, Demystifying the Queue, which just came out last week, I believe, and I read a bunch of it over the weekend. I am going to do this show next Monday, and you guys are going to love that show. So thank you for letting me postpone that topic for a week. Um, okay, so moving on. Oh, here's one I need an opinion on. So we're going to do the label, like I told you, on Friday afternoon, 2:45 to 3:45, labels and publisher A&R panel, listening and Q&A. Then on 3:45 to 4:45, we typically do the members panel. Last year we called it If We Can Do This, So Can You. Sometimes it's called the Successful Members Panel. I was thinking about this year doing a Taxi All-Stars panel. Where we take people that have just excelled and done really, really well. They obviously have the magic beans in their pocket. they've figured it out, and they've turned the music they make and the combination of Taxi and the Road Rally and the feedback and everything, they've turned it all into, many of them earning a full living doing what they do. So what do you think about having kind of a Masters of the Universe panel for the member panel this year? Probably comprised of people who have been on previous member panels, successful member panels. Do you like the all-star idea? And while you're getting ready, give me +1s if you like that idea, -1s if you don't. And we will have Rockstar at the Road Rally. Awesome. Getting a lot of +1s on that. I like it. All right. I've been on the fence about that one. I like giving exposure to people who've never been on the successful member panel before. But every year, my goal is to make this road rally at least 15% better than the last one. So I try and fine tune things or change it up. We do a lot more stuff that's interactive with the members than any other convention, I think. And we have members who teach classes at the road rally because they become so good at what they do, and they have specialties that I think that's pretty cool that members are able to pay it forward to other members rather than just having a bunch of industry people sitting up on a panel with their arms crossed, tilted back in their chair going, yeah, look, man, if you're good enough, we'll hear about you. I hate those. That was one of the reasons I started doing the road rally. Michael Mishna says, why not do it a few different ways? Oh, he's gone back to the other idea of how we draw stuff. I'm telling you, it's like an unsolvable problem. I don't think there is a perfect answer. All right. So a +1 on All Stars versus same as last year. Okay. Excuse me. Moving on. Oh, here's one that nobody knows about except for like 3 people on the planet. The recipient this year, I am very, very, very proud and happy to say, of the John Brahaney Songwriting Award is going to be none other than Dean Krippain. And that decision was made probably 2 weeks before I knew about his book. Many of you guys know Paul Otten, who was our very first recipient. John Brahaney, of course, being one of the great song coaches of all time, and was very instrumental in helping me to learn a lot of very important stuff in the beginning of Taxi, and he screened for us forever, and then he sadly passed away a little bit more than a year ago. So last year at the Road Rally, John Brahaney's wife met me on stage, and we presented Paul Otten with the very first John Brahaney Songwriting Award, and we're going to make that a tradition from now until the end of time. And one night I was working late, I don't know, 4 weeks ago, and Paul Otten and I were emailing each other back and forth as we were both working, I think. And so I said to Paul, here's some guys I'm thinking of. Do you have any ideas? And he ran some ideas by me, and I kept thinking, I know I thought of somebody like 9 months ago, and I just didn't want to make a decision with any of the ideas that Paul and I were coming up with because I kept having this goofy feeling that I'd already picked somebody who I thought was incredibly deserving because, number one, I look for people who inspire the other members. Number two, obviously, excellence in the work they do. Number three, some modicum of success. And it doesn't have to be huge, but something that just says this person, has achieved something. And all of a sudden I remembered that Dean was the person that I had in the back of my mind. And I typed back to Paul Otten and said, Dino, and he wrote back and said, woohoo, yes, that's your guy. So Dean is our guy. Dean is on the show. Hey, Dean. I don't know if you were on the show long enough to find out that we postponed the episode about your book till next week because the email got hung up with our email service provider, and I think like a tenth of them actually went out. So yes, Dean is getting something. Uh, I couldn't be happier. I've known Dean for years, and I got to tell you guys, I'll make this brief because I've got so much more I want to talk about. But several years ago, probably 5, 6, 7 years ago, I went to Nashville, and Nashville, very few people in Nashville really understood film and TV music. So I rented a ballroom at the Lowe's on West End Avenue across from Vanderbilt University, rented the ballroom, and I don't know, had 200, 300 people show up for this thing, and I knew Dean was going to be there, and I asked him if he would join me and get up on stage and speak. He's one of the greatest public speakers you'll ever hear. He's so inspiring, and he told a great story of, I don't want to get in the story, it's 10 minutes long, but I remember thinking like a half a dozen times while he was on stage thinking, I can just go home now. Literally, you could put Dean Krippain on a stage with a microphone for like 3 hours and just say, wing it. Nobody would leave the room. He's that good. But in this case, he's going to be on stage because his music is that good and he does so many genres so well. And he's really figured everything out to the point where he wrote the book. And it is really, really good. So buy the book before next week's episode. You can get it at Amazon. It's called Demystifying the Cue. Thoughts and Strategies for Creating Competitive Film and TV Music in Today's New Media World by Dean Krippain. All right. He is one hell of a nice guy. An incredibly nice guy. I had to make sure he was coming to the rally. I called him Thursday or Friday of last week and said, you are coming to the rally, right? Because this is what I want to do. And he was tickled pink and humble as he always is, I might add. Okay, so that's the John Brahaney Songwriting Award, and that will take place probably on Friday. Some things may get moved around, probably Friday at 4:45 p.m. Okay, then we move on to the Music Library Listening and Q&A panel. And that is going to be probably all owners or like senior people from some great music libraries. And I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to have a couple of non-exclusive libraries on there, a couple of exclusive libraries, but they'll all be hand-picked people that probably all run listings with Taxi that we know really well, and that panel's always great. Then we do a dinner break, and then we do open mic. So that's the end of Friday. Okay, so what do you think about this? Last year on Saturday morning at 9:30, I did Buried Treasure, Making Money from Old Recordings, and I had Jeff Freundlich on stage. And I got to tell you, that guy was so incredibly good. And we only had like 250 people in the ballroom because everybody got so blasted on Friday night. They were all still sleeping when we did the panel. I don't know what else to do other than maybe give away some awesome prize Saturday morning, and you got to be in the ballroom to get it. I did find out PRS Guitars is not going to do a full sponsorship this year at the Road Rally because they were already committed to do another event in LA called Bass Player Live, which is much smaller, and they can't really afford the manpower. But with any luck, I'll get them to give us a couple of guitars, and maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll give away a PRS guitar Saturday morning at 9:30 to make sure that you guys show up for, what am I going to call it if I can read my own writing? Understanding the Music Library Business and How to Profit from It. And for that, I want to get a music library owner. I want to get a veteran Taxi member. And I want to get, I have a friend named Jeff Gray who goes by the nickname of Pesci, and he's completely brilliant and a little nutty and funny at the same time. He might be great for that. John Fulford might be great for that. But I want to get like 3 different guys. What about Taylor Guitars? I have a really close friend at Taylor Guitars who's in charge of giving away the guitars. Can I ever get him to give me a guitar to give away at the Road Rally or get them to sponsor a booth at the rally? No. And I've known this guy for like 10 years. So I will try again. I will. But do you guys like that idea? Understanding the music library business and how to profit from it, where we cover it from the owner's perspective, from a member's perspective, and from the perspective of somebody that uses libraries, like from a supervision perspective. Yeah, I love Taylor's too. I've always been a Martin guitar guy, but I've got to tell you, oh, that demo of my daughter Hannah's song "Suicide" that she did when she was 14, that was a Taylor that it was Shirelli's Taylor actually, and the thing sounded amazing. So I've been a huge fan ever since then. Okay, so you guys like that. All right, so I'm going to lock that in. Understanding the music library business and how to profit from it with a library owner, a member who's been very successful, possibly Matt Hurt, and then a supervisor, probably like a reality show supervisor that can speak intelligently about how they consume the music that the libraries peddle. Okay? Um, okay. Next up to bat, we have Robin Frederick. I don't have the title for what she's going to do every year, but the ballroom is always packed for her and she never disappoints. And she always plays incredibly good examples, and we'll have the big screen up there, and so we'll watch. I don't know if she's going to do commercials or TV placements or film placements, maybe a combination thereof, but she's always amazing. Then we break for the mentor lunch from 12:15 to 2 o'clock on Saturday, and then we return at 2:15. From 2:15 to 3:30, we're going to do the music supervisor listening and Q&A panel, and for that, I always get a bunch of great supervisors. I'm going to mix it up. We'll obviously have like a reality show supervisor, somebody that does weekly episodic TV, somebody that does film. Um, I may have the supervisor back from Access Hollywood because Access Hollywood and only one or two other shows that are on TV are daily shows that consume just tons of music. So their world is completely different. So I want to do that, and we're going to do that. Um, okay, I'm waiting for the chat room scroll to catch up with me here. Then from 3:45 to 5:15, how do you like this idea? The reality of reality shows. And for that one, I want to get, it's going to be reality show. I would say the majority of the money made by our members in aggregate is with reality show placements. Certainly not exclusively, um, but if I had to guess, I would say 75% of all money is probably earned with reality shows just because there's so many of them. So where'd I go? Okay, so I want to do a panel that's just about reality show music and have um, a music library owner on there that just primarily gets reality show placements. I was actually thinking about getting Jonathan Weiss, who is a former taxi screener, worked for us for years, and up until not long ago was the music soup on the Kardashians, and he does lots of reality show stuff. So he's a good possibility for that. Um, Maybe get a member like Chuck Henry, who's had gazillions of reality show placements, and I believe primarily, if not exclusively, only pitches through non-exclusive libraries, and the majority of his income comes from MTV-based reality shows. So he's a possibility for that. And a video editor, because much of the music that goes into reality shows is actually put in there, is picked by and slugged into the show by the video editors. So I thought it'd be really cool to have the video editor and get their perspective on how they pick the music, because they're the ones that are looking at what's on the hard drive full of music when they're sitting in an edit bay at 10 p.m. at night. And I thought, what a great perspective that would be. And probably a library owner on that panel as well. So do you guys like that? Jim Carvalho says, what if you're out of touch with reality? Well, Jim, then come to that panel, because that's where we're going to put you back in touch with reality. All right. Getting a lot of +1s on the video editor. Yay. Great. Now all my competitors can watch this show and copy the idea. I guarantee you another large-scale event will probably have a video editor on a panel next year, because everything we break ground with, or break new ground with, gets copied by somebody. Then from 5:30 to 6:30, although I haven't confirmed the time on this yet, the irascible Ralph Murphy doing his annual review of what makes a chart-topping song, where he does they actually do an official statistical analysis of how many songs were this song form, how many weeks did they spend on the charts, blah, blah, blah. And it's really fascinating. I call them vidiots too. Back in the day when I did audio post, I called anybody who had anything to do with video vidiots. Catherine says, this is your contribution to the world, dear Michael. Thanks, Catherine. I love you. You always give great support. Cale Clements loves Ralph Murphy's sessions. Yeah, they're always great. Yeah, Ralph was at the mini rally. So were you, Mojo. I remember that. We all went out for pizza beforehand, if I remember correctly. Just be proud, Michael. Amanda says, everyone copies Apple and iPhone ideas. Got a point there. I guess I should think of it as flattery. Although I wonder if Apple thinks of Samsung as flattering. Okay. All right. So that's the end of Saturday. And then on Sunday, for the morning slot, last year we started Shirelli's thing, demo to done, at 9 a.m. And we actually did have a full ballroom. We gave away kind of a grand prize, which was, I think, Keith, what's his last name? I can't think of Keith's last name. Keith Lynch. Keith Lynch, I believe, was the grand prize winner last year. Won a couple of Shirelli's microphones, won an hour consult with Rob, an hour consult with me, and some other cool stuff. Anyway, I'm thinking about starting the 9 o'clock panel on Sunday morning, because everybody's pretty hungover by Sunday morning, or exhausted from not sleeping probably, and starting that one at 9:30 in the morning and doing a panel that was a breakout thing last year, and from what I understand, it was a raging success, and we've done it before on the show, but I don't think I executed it as well as the gentleman who did it in the breakout session, and I can't think of his name right now. Why can I not think of his name? Anyway, it was called What Genre Is This Anyway? And that would be another one of those things where one way or another we're going to pick music, and I think that we'll have the person whose music it is stand up and say, okay, I think this is rock, or this is indie rock, or this is indie folk rock, or whatever it is. And maybe we put a couple, actually, you know what? We're not going to do a panel on that one. We're going to have the audience vote, and see how the audience votes with the person whose music it is. So do you like that idea? Demo to done we did last year. Yeah, Rob will be there. Rob will be doing his class in the 200-seat theater on the mezzanine level. I just don't know what time or what his class is going to be about. Patty Boss says, I cast a vote for Carla K. That's C.K. Barlow giving spreadsheets are sexy panel. I love that. Mojo says, Gage Mike, best deal ever. I use mine every day. All right, so you guys like the idea of us doing the what genre is this panel? Because, if everybody knew their genre for every song they were going to pitch, I would say we'd probably get it like 50% more stuff forwarded and get a lot more deals. So, all right. Hey, remind me at the end of the show, speaking of genres, in the back of Dean's book, let's see if I've got this page dog-eared. By the way, Dean, thank you. He mentions Taxi several times in the book. almost to the point of being embarrassing, but he's always been extremely generous with gratitude and praise for Taxi, and I've always appreciated that. Ooh, low bandwidth. There, we're back. Okay. Ooh, the bandwidth is fluctuating. Sophia, you doing any big downloads over there? Um, anyway, Dean has a great list. I'll just tell you about it. It is on page 272 of the book, a list of not genres, but moods. And everybody should look at the list of moods, which is far too many for me to rattle off here. But man, if you're doing film and TV music, whether it's songs or instrumental cues, look at this list of moods because moods drive everything. And if you look at if you bought the book and all you did was look at the list of moods, you would get your money's worth right there. All right. Bronstein says, how about something like breaking down the genres where the instrumentation, rhythms, etc. were discussed? Possibly. I don't want to spend 10 minutes a song. I mean, it's too hard to say, okay, indie pop rock is this. It's usually this tempo and it's usually this instrumentation. The problem is in today's world and market, there are a lot of gray areas. It's sometimes really hard to tell the difference between indie pop rock or indie pop and indie rock. The lines are blurred, whereas indie pop may be more keyboard oriented, indie rock may be more guitar oriented, but it could be that the